Welcome to NeedleXChange, conversations on the art of thread. I'm Jamie Chalmers, aka Mr. X-Stitch, and this is part 2 of my NeedleXChange with Holly Searle, aka the Subversive Stitcher, an artist who reclaims vintage tea towels as canvases for bold, witty, and sharply political textile art. In this episode, we dive fully into her tea towel project, its lockdown origins, unexpected humour, and the deep social commentary that is stitched into each piece. Holly shares how she balances protest with playfulness, the responses her work provokes, and the stories that keep her stitching. And of course, we find out about Holly's favourite cultural touchpoints, as well as a spooky fact that not a lot of people know. If you appreciate the raw honesty and political positions in Holly's work, you may want to tune into NeedleXChanges 71 and 72 with Betsy Greer, the godmother of craftivism. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy the show. Don't forget to subscribe, review, and share the podcast to help other like-minded people find us. I'll be back next week with somebody else from another corner of the Stitchy universe. But until then, enjoy the show. I mean, that was one of my questions to you. So, like, the first one you've got on your website, subversivestitcher.com, in the Tea Towel Project is the Stop Grooming Innocence one. Was that the first one you did?
That was the first one I did. And that was, that's based on, there's an American artist called Fran. Oh God, what's her name?
Fran Ma.
Yeah, Fran Ma. And she was just like, she used to do those moppets, these little children. And they're kind of like, they're very kitsch and they're sort of quite sweet. And I did that one at a time. There's always something about, you know, trafficking or kids or, you know, sexual abuse and things like this. But then I also thought the thing I always want to do with the tea towels as well is I want you to read that and I want you to look at that. But I also want you to understand that it's dealing with multi-dimensional things as well. Sometimes it's very cut and dry what it's dealing with. But with that one as well, I was thinking about even standing in a queue at a checkout and how we're constantly being, you know, there's sweets by the checkout. So like, you must know of your kids, like you go through the checkout and it's like, oh, can we just get one of these, Dad? Or can we have that? And it's like, you know, that's still grooming people because you're still because people are always trying to make money out of you, you know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, obviously the thing, I mean, my daughter hates that one. She said, oh, that makes me feel really uncomfortable. And I thought, okay, well, that's my job done then, because if it's getting some reaction from someone, then that's good because I want people to think about those things.
After you made that one, were you like, this is a thing, or did it still take a while for like momentum to kick in with this kind of project?
I think when I started doing them, I was like, no, I got really I was really enthusiastic in that because there was nothing else happening. You know, we could go for a walk during lockdown. It was all really peculiar. So I had this, and I'd actually just like moved from my other house as well. And we were, me and my kids and my grandchildren were all sharing a house together as well. So it was great because I could just sit on my own and they kind of left me to it. I was just like stitching these tea towels. So I did quite a few of them in a short space of time. I think in that first year, because what I always do is when I get to Christmas, I always do a Christmas one. So it ends the year. And I've been starting a spreadsheet this week where I was just trying to work out, because I thought, God, how many felt letters have I actually used in this whole collection? You know, and I've only got up to 2022 on the spreadsheet, and I've used nearly 2,500 sort of letters sort of thing. So I don't know how many I've cut out in total in the last 5 years. But yeah, I like to do that with the Christmas one. You know, I like to sort of like end that year. And yeah, so it was just like, it was nice that first year because it was quite an intense period of time when I was doing it. I think I did about 26 in about 6 months periods. That's quite a lot. That's like,
that's a good body of work, isn't it?
Yeah. Good to sort of do that. Yeah. And I remember I put them all up in the room that I had, and my grandson came in and I was going to, well, what do you think of this? And he was like, yeah, it's really interesting. No. Can I go now?
But I love the fact as well, like you say, that you chose like the fridge magnets. Some of those old fonts, there's that immediate nostalgia that's tied into them, isn't it? And it's almost like it allows you a bit more space because it sort of predates, if you like, wokeness or whatever that means, like a heightened sensitivity to the way these say things. And so in some ways that also gives you permission to be a bit more fluid with what you say. Based on the fact that I now know they're in chronological order, you had number 28, which was one to do with the crown, Charles and Di. First time you dropped a C-bomb, but that was contextual, wasn't it? Because it was a quote from the TV show.
Well, if people, it's really funny because I actually had somebody wrote to me, took the time to send me an email, because actually there's not, out of 180, there's only like a few of them that have got swearing on them. And it is all contextual. It's not just me going, I'm swearing for the sake of swearing. And the thing about that one, which was called There Were Three of Us in This Marriage, was that I'm a massive fan of that Crown. I love television, right? And it's like, I was watching The Crown and there was this particular episode. I won't say the bad word, Jamie, but it's like, there was this really fantastic scene where it was like Andrew and Edward, and then it had like, I don't know, and then Charles came in and they were trying to upstage each other. And so Edward says that phrase about Charles.
Drops the C-bomb.
Yeah. And it just really made me laugh that in the context of The Crown, that those siblings were like saying that. And it was so sort of shocking that he would say that. And it was hilarious. It just really made me laugh. So that's why I use that. So they're very personal things to me. I have a lot of sort of like televisual and film and music sort of things interwoven with the details as well, I feel,
And that was the thing. I wondered whether up until that point, the idea of using C-bombs and F-bombs and stuff had never really come into it. Because then a couple later you do it. I felt like it was more deliberate. I feel like sometimes you quote things and that's part of it, and then I think sometimes you say things, and I think it's number 31. Hang on, I'll tell you exactly which one it is in a sec. Number 31 was the first time you properly dropped a C-bomb, like that I noticed anyway, because it was kind of before that one.
Oh, is that the hunting one?
Yeah, ha ha ha, boom boom. And I think that's, again, you were just like, it just had to be said because it rhymes with hunt and it does. And I felt like that was, had you with the one before then, had you gone, oh, actually, it's all right to use swearing? Or that conversation never really entered your head?
No, I tell you what goes on in my head, right? Because that particular one, somebody actually took the time to send me an email and say to me, it's such a shame that, with your body of work and everything, but is it really necessary to use this word, blah, blah, blah. And I thought about that for a long time and I thought about responding. And in the end, I didn't say anything because I feel like I didn't have to sort of justify, because if somebody read the context and everything. But me personally, I don't like fox hunting. I don't like animals being hunted. I think it's really vital that this ancient activity goes on, whereby it's all very like it all looks very civilized and people dress up and it's all, and these animals, these dogs go and literally rip these animals apart. And I think it's so disgusting, it just really upsets me. So as shocking as I find that, to use a word like that, you have to equal out the shock factor to get a response to it. So, and also ha, boom, boom, it's Basil Brush, isn't it? It's like, ha, 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 and it's like, boom, boom, boom. And it's like, there's your humor for you. So it's like, don't take this too seriously, but it is serious because I find that really shocking. And sometimes the only way to make people understand how shocking something is, that I did another one, which was to do with, the tomb babies, that they're now starting to excavate that in Ireland, in Galway, where the babies. And it's like, I remember I listened to a program about that on Radio 4, and this lady was saying that people said to her, are you still going on about that? Because she'd been campaigning all these years to try and get it excavated and everything. And anyway, so that kind of reaction that you're laughing like that in a shock understanding sort of way. But it's the same sort of thing. Some of these things that I talk about, I want people to sort of go, yeah, that is really awful, you know. So it's not awful that I've used that word. It's awful that that's still happening.
Yeah. And so to that end, well, actually, no, I wanted to talk about number 170, EastEnders one. Because that was a particular favorite of mine as well. But I noticed again, so there's two things here. One is what you're doing is a form of documentary, right? Because you're touching on certain issues, you talk about Grenfell, you talk about various bits and bobs. And I guess in some ways it's almost that you're putting a place marker in time. I had a conversation with Betsy Greer a while ago about how sometimes it feels like, you know, you can do a tea-tale about Grenfell and then be disappointed that no justice has been served. But I don't think you feel that way. But I think some people can misinterpret their craftivist actions and think that they will make change. Whereas it feels like with you, it's more like you're just putting these place markers in. You're just saying, here's a thing, not here's a thing we managed to fix, just here's a thing, pay attention to it. And I think that's quite useful. But then I love the fact that then you do also balance it out with things like EastEnders and these other cultural references. So it feels like what you're doing is slicing. I know it's quite international, but I think that there's a very Englishness to the way you're going about it with the letters, with the towels and those sorts of things. And I wonder whether that's something that a reasonable assessment.
I think that is a reasonable assessment. I think what you're seeing there in that whole collection is all aspects of who I am as a person and where I've come from and what I'm trying to do and what I do. I don't think I'm particularly like a special superhero type person that does art or creates things or anything. I'm just like a regular person that uses a medium to say things about the world, you know. And it's like, and it encompasses all aspects, all spectrums. And also I want people to be able to relate to those things. I'm not trying to be clever, or I won't say who it was, but I saw a video on Instagram the other day that I sent to a friend of mine, and it was like this artist person, and they were going, and I don't know whether it was a joke, but it just seemed like they were just taking themselves so seriously, and that's one of the things I really don't like about art, you know. And I still don't know whether it was a joke what they were doing, but yeah, I think you're absolutely right about what you say about having that conversation with Betsy Greer and everything, because in everything I do, I try to be really genuine about things. And I, like with the Grenfell thing, because I'm from West London and stuff, that's like, I don't live in that area, but I'm from West London. And, you know, through my doing that, I went and met Tuesday, who's the lady who set up the memorial quilt. And, you know, I did some work, a little bit of work for them. I did another tea towel for them that's incorporated in that. And I'm not saying that to get like human brownie points or anything. I'm just saying that I'm interested to know about what other people are doing, and I like to go along and find out about it. And in the same token, it's like, I mean, that's life, isn't it? Life in a nutshell is like, it can be incredibly serious and upsetting and devastating and heartbreaking. And then it can be, the way we deal with that is by watching television like, you know, like EastEnders or something like that. And these are all part of our culture, and these are all part of me as a Londoner as well. You know, I was born right in the middle of London, right near Trafalgar Square. And it's like, not in the street, in the hospital. And it's like,
your parents were on the run at the time
from another place they had to leave. Yeah. But it was like, so I feel very sort of like proud of being a Londoner, and I feel very proud of like all of that context within me comes out with all of those things as well.
Yeah. And then the other one that I wanted to talk about was number 27, which was Mary Mary. And that one was a really positive one. And I think what I wanted to ask you, it's all well and good to criticize things, but I think as well as doing that, a lot of the time we have to provide positive inspiration to remind people of what is possible. And I wonder how much that factors into things.
It's funny you said that's a positive one, because that was a critique of another artist who'd done a quite a well-known sculpture in Islington to, you know, represent the work of Mary Wollstonecraft. And it was like, and I didn't like it because it was just, so I wanted to say something positive about Mary Wollstonecraft, because she just did such a, you know, the vindication of the rights of women and all these things are so so intrinsic to like the women's movement and things like that, in a time probably not that far from, Mary Frances Eaton, where you've got those two sort of like different scales of like, I guess, feminism going on, I suppose, for want of a better thing. But yeah, sorry, I've forgotten what was the question. It was
it's about just because I interpreted it as being very positive. I think a lot of the time there are images and stuff and you can see there's a darkness or a critique to it. That one to me felt very positive.
Oh,
and
okay.
I know that in the role, like when I'm trying to do stuff in crew or when I'm talking to people who are emerging as artists and stuff, I feel like part of my job is to embolden them and to make them feel like there's a lot of value in going on. And that to me, it's a very, it's a very powerful image. It's Mary Marvel flying. It's really right on.
Yeah.
And it's got that like we can fix it mentality in my mind for the association. But I'm interested in whether in the same way as you offer moments of lightness with the cultural references and that sort of kitschiness, whether that need for positive expression exists in there as well, to keep lighting people down this path that you're making.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It's really funny because I always see them as quite funny. I'm not laughing at the subject, but I don't ever, some of them are quite dark and everything, but some of them I think are quite funny. Like you were talking about people being cancelled earlier, and I did one with the Smash robots from the 70s adverts on it, where it said, in the future, everyone will be cancelled for 15 minutes. And it's like, that's like that Warhol thing about, everyone will be famous for 15 minutes, which is what we used to be. So it's like, but that really made me laugh, that one, because I just thought, so anyway, I mean, some of them are, I think, about a lot more than others, I guess. And, but yeah, I hope people get a lot from them. I don't mean to offend people or upset people. Where they've been on show, because I showed them at the knitting and stitching show at Alexander Palace, and people and the people were kind of like going, "Oh, you have to turn these ones around," and I was like, "Okay, fair enough." So I turned it into an opportunity and had the wall where people could come and look at them, but I had them all face turned to the wall, and I thought, well, that's up to people if they want to see them. But what was really so lovely was that a lot of young people that came. That they were worried about seeing these details, because that's what I couldn't understand, because even the ones that didn't have the swearing on had content on them, which I would go, oh, that's a much more serious subject than the one you've told me that I can't show, sort of thing. And these kids were like going, these are brilliant, these textile students. And I had a lady who came who was 99, and she was there with her daughter, who's also an artist, and she said, oh, I have to go and meet this lady. And she goes, oh, my mum's just like so blown away by your work and your tea towels and everything and what you've done. And that just made the whole thing. Yeah. It's like so nice when people get you. Do you understand? Like when someone gets you, they kind of see your soul, I suppose, without sounding like a hippie, but they sort of see you as you are. And it's like, that's what it's all about.
Well, I mean, I saw it installed because I popped down to Ali Pali that year. And what's great, because it was in the atrium and you had all this light, and then yours was literally like a wall of eye popping, because it's so full on, isn't it? Every single one's got a certain amount of volume just from a visual standpoint. So you get that. And then you look at the pieces, and then you look at the handiwork, and then you realize there's a message. And that's the sort of thing I love. That's like your dream ticket, because it's like 6 little blows to the head before you've even like taken it all on board or whatever. It's perfect, that. But it's funny, like you say, it's funny how people's sensitivities, like even like the grooming innocence one, and boy with a dog, and he just says stop grooming innocence on it. Like, that's quite powerful if you stop and think about it. And yet they wouldn't think that. They'd think the ones with all the C bombs or the F bombs are the controversial ones.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, I mean, you've dwelled in some real darkness in there somewhere.
Well, I mean, I'll give you an example of like, I guess a recent thing it was like people making complaints about, Springwatch on their 20th anniversary show, showing this nightjar eating its chick. And it's like people complained and I just thought, really? Like on the news at 6 o'clock, you've got things about murders and kids being killed in
refugees
Gaza
being shot at aid stations. Oh my God.
And
stuff.
It's just like nature, someone's showing you actual real things that are really happening. Like, I mean, not that those things aren't happening, but you know what I mean? Like, these are things which are not, are not directed by mankind. They're actually happening in nature sort of thing.
I mean, not being funny, but you think if they did actually show the reality, because that's what happens, isn't it? My daughters were telling me, because I didn't watch it, but Spring watched about one owl chick, big up the owls, eating its brother.
Yeah.
Because it had a feeble brother, and after a while it just started eating it alive. And they showed bits of it, not much of it. But you think if they actually showed the actual news, if they actually showed, I don't know, a missile hitting a hospital and the reality of it, maybe people would stop like allowing that to happen or something, isn't it? It's just such a weird duality there. Yeah. That was quite heavy all of a sudden, I must admit. Do you have an end goal in sight? Because obviously this is a pretty extensive collection now, and it's not like you can, I mean, would you ever do mini exhibitions of them? Because I know you're quite keen to still get them out and to show people. Are you going to go like 365 and then I'm done, or?
No, I'm just waiting for Sotheby's to contact me and say, "Oh, can we sell your whole collection for £8 million?" And I go,
Yeah, right.
"Oh, I don't know. Let me have a think about it." No, I mean, I get a lot of people like contact me and say, "Can I buy that one?" And I say, "Well, not just yet, but so I don't know. Maybe I'd sell them all, but I mean, it'd be a shame to break them all up." I don't really have an end goal because there's always something to say about something. I'm about to show them again at another festival, so I'm really excited about that because it'll be the whole collection uninterrupted, in a really nice space. But I'd love to take them everywhere. I mean, one of the things I'm really impressed about with Vanessa Marr and her dusters is that she really gets out there and gets them and she showed her dusters in a lot of shop fronts recently, and that would be such a fantastic something like that to do, like the visual impact of that, So I don't really know. I mean, I always still think there's lots of people who, I don't want to sound like an egotist, but it's like there's a lot of people that don't know about them, and it would be, I still want to keep elevating them because, I'd like people to still get things from them, whether they do or not, I don't know. They're like another child of mine, so.
It's like the Tiny Pricks project that Diana Raymar had, which is, again, it's turned into a documentary of our times. She has contributions from other people, which I guess you don't. Although, have you had people where you've inspired them and they've done their own versions? Have you had any of that?
Well, I do regular workshops at Fashion and Textile with other people, and I showed them at the Bath Festival as well, which was that was fantastic, and they won like the prize for the most. They won the prize for everyone voted them the best thing in the festival. So I was like really, and I remember the mayoress came to the evening and she said, and they said, "Oh, the mayor wants to have a word with you." And I was like 5 years old again, being sent to the headmistress's office. I thought I was going to be in trouble. She went, "This is the best thing here," sort of thing. So it was like, so I do workshops, and I find those incredibly emotional because a lot of the time people come and they, I provide the tea towels and the lettering, and then we talk about what they want to write on them and everything. And some of those have just will make you cry, so that's fantastic that there are all these tea towels in the world that other people have subverted that have been inspired by me just going down a rabbit hole in lockdown and looking at tea towels. I mean, it kind of spins me out a lot of the time as well when I think about that.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is that upon reflection, you can see that it was a rabbit hole that you were bound to fall down.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that's quite sad. So I could see you with a good table book. You need a good gallery book.
Oh yeah,
I'd love to. Yeah,
I'd love to do a book. That would be so great. That would be really fantastic. But yeah, so my artistic procrastination kind of kicks in when I do things like that because it just seems like a massive thing. But I did earlier this year. I did a house as a project with Croydon I called it the Wendy Project. So we did a house which was a space for International Women's Day. And so all the women in Croydon came and they all stitched their own tea towels. So it was the idea where in J.M. Barrie's like Peter Pan, Wendy gets injured by one of the Lost Boys under Tinkerbell's jealousy sort of thing. And she falls and they create a house around her. So that's why Wendy House is called a Wendy House for her to recover in. So I got all the women to they all made tea towels. So it was like a place where women could say what they wanted to say on a tea towel. But then I've seen a lot of houses since then. So I was like, oh, that's nice. Like I did, not me, but obviously, but that consciousness, that shared consciousness, I think is quite interesting how it all goes round in the same way about all these other houses start to appear, like the Liberty patchwork house, have you seen that? Have you heard of that?
I think I've heard of it. Yeah. No, and it's interesting because I remember hearing something once about there's this phenomenon in nature where certain birds learn certain songs and then the same breed of bird on the other side of the planet will start singing that song or something or other, isn't it? There's some kind of like crazy connections there.
Yeah.
I'm interested, and this is going to come out wrong, I think, but where is the point when this and the way this is going and the response that you're getting will tell your imposter syndrome to just calm down a little bit? Because you alluded to that before, where you're not necessarily satisfied with calling yourself an artist because maybe you don't want to be egotistical about it or whatever it is. Or maybe it's just that lizard brain bit that everybody has. But I'm just wondering, you sat there, you had this atrium space with the best part of 190 amazing details that everyone fell in love with. And I wonder, at that point, were you like, okay, I'm a piece, I'm an artist, I can handle this?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really odd, isn't it? Because I always think I'm such a boring person, really. But then my friends go, no, you're not boring like this. And it's like, I think I'm quite sort of self-contained, I suppose. I don't know. And I saw something where this lady who'd written a book and she was saying, like, if you ask a man that question about if they're an artist, they'll just undoubtedly say they are straight away. But women tend to go, I'm not too like, and so, I mean, I am, that's what I do. In the latter part of my life, I've had every job on the planet, probably apart from like running a circus. And it's like, I've been a civil servant, I've done all sorts of different things. And it's like, I do feel so glad that I've taken this turning and ended up here in the latter part of my life, because everything I did in that earlier part, and I always think they're like chapters of your life, in I don't want to sound all metaphorical, but I'm going to. So if your life is a book and every decade you go through is like a different chapter, and it's like, I just feel like that's all just been research really for this. And so here I am, and I've always been this person, but I didn't realize that until in my like mid 50s, so I feel really like I've arrived, and I am. And every time I do something or people come to me, I go, yeah, I'll come and do that, because it's just like, I love meeting people and I love interacting with people. And I sometimes think that people think I'm going to be not the person I am when they meet me, because I think people build you up as, I don't know, maybe they don't, I don't know, but it's like, I had one person said to me, oh, I thought you were going to be wearing your pearly queen suit. And I was like, because in my image, I've got my surly queen suit, which is like a pearly queen suit that I made. And it was like, and I said, oh no, I don't wear that. And I thought, oh no, I'm not like, and then I got that thing in my head about this performance that you have to go through because being the subversive stitcher is my Clark Kent Superman.
Yeah. I'm Mr. X Stitch. I know exactly what you mean.
So you know what I mean? So Holly is just this person who, I've got grandkids, I've got a family life, I've got all these things that go on. And my kids are always going, oh, mum, for God's sake, and stuff like this or whatever. And then stop talking about politics or whatever. And it's like, and then in my other world, which I absolutely love, I've got the best friends and I've met so many fantastic people in the latter part of my life just from this art practice and doing this. So yeah, all right, I'm going to take that. I'm going to call myself an artist and say that's what I do. Yeah,
awesome. And I wasn't calling you out on that. Don't get me wrong in any way, shape or form. But I know it's that thing. It's trying to find that duality. I don't call myself an artist, thankfully, but I'm at peace with sort of saying I'm a curator because that's what I've ended up being. But even that, because I'm still like a wise guy, I'm still a dad, I still have all these other bits and pieces. But even like you were saying, I look back on some of the experiences I've had in relation to particularly the stuff I'm doing in Crewe. Like I used to live in a smaller town that was a railway making town, which is what Crewe is. And I was on the town council there. And it means I understand what happens when a town with an industry doesn't have that industry anymore. Yeah. And I learned that 10 years ago. And now I've ended up in a town with the same situation and like getting involved in like the narrative and all that. And even like I worked in a couple of rough pubs, and you still like, we had one event where it was quite late. It was like a lantern parade. And this guy came in who was obviously quite drunk. And I was just like, all right, mate, I hope you're having a nice time. I'm afraid we can't help you here. And it's just funny how all these prior experiences, sometimes they come to pass, don't they? They come to fit in or whatever. I love that. I mean, I definitely think a table book is or even like, I don't know, a series of prints. I don't know whether there's any merit there. I know I've seen quite a few of your tea towels, so I'm like, they would be really good in my house. But at the same time, I think it has to be this, whatever the number is, 244, however you do it, that there'll be this bit where it's just like, this is a body of work. It's going to be awesome. I love that. I'm going to move on to tough questions now, if that's all right. See how we go with these. I think this is going to be good. Let's start with music, I think. Do you have a favorite band? Do you have a favorite album?
Yeah, I was thinking about this and I was like thinking about how, going back to I think about chapters, I think albums are something that were more probably prevalent in my life when at certain times, like say in my 20s. I mean, I can remember just wearing out ABC's Lexicon of Love because that was such a seminal album. It was so good. But then, I don't listen to that so much now, but then I might, because it's a bit like food preferences or drink preferences, isn't it? Like you might have drunk coffee, but now you like tea or whatever. So it's kind of like, but I like really clever songs that have, that use words in a way that make you think about things. Oh God, what are they called? Something Fontaine, but they did Life's Not Always Easy. Do you know that Irish band? Life's Not Always
DC,
yeah, but they did that thing. Right. It's not called that because life's not always easy. And it's like, tell your mother you love her and things like that. So I like a lot of music like that. But then I like a lot of like folk music, I like Shirley Collins and things like this. And because it just makes it's just evocative of something else. And also it's nice when you get a bit, I don't want to say a bit older, but when you just like, you're not overwrought by like peer pressure to like something and you can just go,
it's so nice, isn't it? So
and
nice.
But isn't that just like that thing about art as well? It's like you just go, well, who's singing this song? This is great. Oh, it's Chapel Rowan, it's like, oh, that's a clever song. I like that riff, and things like that,
I surprised a few people recently with the amount that I love ABBA. We had Crew Friday the other weekend. And I went to see ABBA Voyage for my birthday and I was like crying.
Was it good? I really want to go and see that.
It's so good. Yeah, if I'm honest, sorry if ABBA are listening, there's a little bit where they've got 3 of their new songs and you're just like, okay, but they could have put 3 more bangers in there. But when it's good, it's so good. And I was crying so much through it because what's happened to me, I think, since I've become a dad as well, is when something's really good, it makes me cry. We went to the circus, this thing called Gifford's Circus with the girls.
Yeah,
the first time we went there.
On my list to do that, yeah.
Yeah, and I was crying with that because I was like, this is so good and I'm so happy we're able to do it. So that was what was happening with ABBA, but then it also ties in with the fact that my mum used to listen to ABBA when I was younger. So I'm getting all these time travel flashbacks. And while I'm listening to these music and watching people dancing, and I've got tears running down my eyes and I'm trying to psychoanalyze myself all at the same time or whatever. But it's that thing of going, you get to a certain age, don't you, where you're like, I'm not phased. If anybody thinks it's weird that I like ABBA, or for instance, since having the girls, I quite like, every now and again, I'll say to Flora, why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? And because I don't mind the Carpenters now because it's contextual. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Whereas before I'd just be too cool for all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so absolutely.
I love that. And then, so one of the cleverest songs that I've heard lately, I don't know if you've seen Matilda, the musical.
Okay.
It's like, it's based on the Book of Rolls. Yeah, Tim Minchin, right? So there's this song called School Song, and it goes along the lines of, so you think you're able to survive this mess by being a prince or a princess, you'll soon see there's no escaping tragedy. And this whole song goes through, and it gets to the end, and then they play it back again, but you realize that the letters of the alphabet they've gone through, they've gone A, B, all the way through, and it's so well done, and I swear it's like one of the best songs I've ever heard because it's just so clever. And when you see it, and I think when you go and see it on the musical, they like hold up the letters at the same time or whatever. And I just love listening to it because it's so well put together. I kind of want to find out what it was that inspired him. So
yeah, excellent.
I love that.
Yeah,
good
really
bit of
good. Yeah. But I love music. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Let's talk about telly then, because you love telly. You said before. Favorite TV show? Does that count? Is it possible?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I could tell you, what are we watching at the moment? I love Natasha Lyonne in Poker Face.
Poker Face.
Oh, my God. Yeah. That is so good. So she's just like, it's like an homage, for people who don't know, it's like an homage to Columbo. And so she plays this like, she's a woman, but she's kind of like asexual in a way. I don't know how to describe it. So she's relatable from all aspects, sort of thing. She's so brilliant. And like thinking about you saying that, and I was thinking about Annie when you were just saying that story about because I saw her, a reel of her the other day going, oh, Charlie Kane, who's the character she plays in Poker Face, she's a Nepo baby. Her mum was Annie from... She was an orphan. Everyone says she was an orphan, but then everyone talks about her being a mother and she's my mother like this and stuff like that. And that really made me laugh. But I like that. And then what else I just really love really good telly. I love a period drama. Like Buccaneers has just started again. There's a thing about the Mitford sisters. I'm going to start watching that because I love all that kind of stuff. And just really good telly. I love a good drama. I love I'm Terrible. I love really good true crime as well. And that's it. I love really good television. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the first series of Poker Face. I haven't started watching the second series yet because I think we're chewing something else. But I love it, isn't it? Because she can tell when people are lying. She's just like, bullshit.
Yeah, bullshit.
It just comes out like that. I love that.
She's really good.
Do you know what? The best TV show I've watched this week has been the best TV show I've watched in a long time. I can't help telling people about it. It's called The Assembly. I don't know whether you've heard of it.
Oh, yeah. I saw the first one with Michael Sheen. That made me cry.
Yeah, exactly. So I haven't watched that one because that was on BBC, but they've done four more on ITV.
I saw the Danny Dyer one. That was like, I feel that was just
that made me
poetic.
cry.
Yeah, that was just so beautiful. Yeah,
that's been amazing. So we watched all four of those. It was interesting because Danny Dyer really opens up. People who don't know, the celebrities are interviewed by a group of 12 to 15 neurodivergent and learning disabled interviewees, and they can ask the interviewees any questions they want, and they have to be honest with their answers, don't they? So you'll get somebody with profound autism who will ask somebody about, I don't know, why they cheated on their wife or whatever, isn't it? It's just this sweet combination. So, and what was great, so it was David Tennant, Danny Dyer, and then Jay Thirlwell, who's in Little Mix, and they're really open and it's really beautiful. And then they have that bit, don't they, where they'll play some music.
That's right, yeah.
Or they'll sing, and if that doesn't start you crying, I don't know what will. And then Gary Lineker's the fourth one.
Oh, yeah, Gary Lineker was in it. Yeah, that's right. I think I saw that.
And that's really interesting because you can see with him, he's had 20 years of media training and being that guy. So he can't open up in quite the same way. They ask him about his son's leukemia. They ask him about a bunch of stuff, but you can still tell.
He was very closed off. Yeah.
That's so good, that program. I've been watching it. And then they've got there's another show on ITVX where it's just like bits you haven't seen before. And me and Mary, honestly, over the 2 days, I'm just literally crying. It makes me so happy. Yeah. It's ridiculous. So I love that.
It's so nice.
It is. And I think that sort of stuff, it reminded me, it isn't the same at all, but there's a show called Lego Masters, which is a Lego competition program. And I think they only did like maybe 1 or 2 series over here, but they have these different challenges. But what's great about that show is a team of 8-year-olds has got as much chance of winning as a team of 50-year-olds.
Yeah.
Inevitably, the older ones win because they've got more like engineering savvy, but it's a really level playing field. And I think that's in a way the beauty of the assembly is it's just humans. You know, you don't get that thing that you have a Jeremy Paxman interviewing someone if that person's in a wheelchair and they're struggling to talk or whatever because of cerebral palsy.
Definitely.
So good. So heartwarming. Okay, films. Films.
Well, it's funny because is like the day I'm talking to you, it's the 50th anniversary of release of Jaws in cinema. I can't even believe that's 50 years. I feel like about as old as Methuselah because I know exactly where I was sitting in the cinema when we went to see it. And then I never swam in the ocean after that. But that is one of my favorite films because it's just so, I used to write a blog as well called Pandora's Box. And I wrote a blog about that movie because the beauty of it was that it was just this mechanical shark. So this is all pre-CGI. And there's also a stage show called The Shark is Broken, which is about the 3 leads, like, you know who I'm talking about anyway. And
Richard Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss. Yeah. And anyway, Hooper, Brody, and the other guy, they're all kind of like, and Quint, who's just like my favorite character in that film. And also, as I've got older, like when I was a young woman, I used to really fancy Richard Dreyfuss. And then I fancied oh, who's the guy who plays the Chief Brody? But I used to fancy him, and now I just fancy the bloke who plays Quinn, because now I'm older. So, but that's I love that movie. It's like I think the sign of a good film is that you always go, oh, I'd forgotten about this bit. And then it always surprises you and everything. I mean, my son and I always watch It's a Wonderful Life at Christmas. That's like something we always do together. And I used to love that. But I really like old movies, but movies have kind of been surpassed now, I feel, by really good television. So we're in a real golden age of television shows now. So people are less tolerant to sit and watch a movie. So the quality of movies, I feel, isn't as great as as it used to be. But Jaws, every time, I just love that movie.
So for reference then, Robert Shaw played
Robert
Prince,
Shaw, he's just so good. Unfortunately,
Roy Schneider was
Roy Schneider,
Chief
that's it.
Brody.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that one as well, because one of the things that really worked, wasn't it, is they couldn't get the shark to do everything they wanted to do, so they had to do lots of implication, didn't they? And that actually ramped up the suspense just by merit, like shark's eye view of everything and all that.
Yeah, and I'm a big Hitchcock fan, so it's like all that suspense that gets built because so the fact that it didn't worked in their favor because it produced, and even the music, it's just so iconic. So it's just fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure for a little while I had that as my ringtone for when my wife phoned me. I've dialed it back since. It seems a bit unfair, but that was always quite a good one.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Do you have a favourite book, or what was the last book?
Let me see. I love reading books. What did I really love, I like Maggie O'Farrell. She writes a really good thing. And I like Hammett. They got a lot of criticism, but it was all about, but I love that. That book haunted me for ages. You know, like when you read a book and you just keep thinking about it the whole time, about what happened in it and everything. So that was a great book. She's a great writer. We used to say I had like particular favourites. I remember my mum called me Holly because after the character in Breakfast at Tiffany's, the book and everything. But I read In Cold Blood. That's another book, which is like, whoa, have you ever read that? Truman Capote. No. Oh my God, that's just like, that would scare, you'd never sleep again if you read that.
Really?
Like,
I love it.
Anyway, so it's like, that's a really interesting book to read. So I only read that once and didn't sleep for ages. And I don't like horror books because they keep me awake and my imagination goes, I don't like ghosts and horror books and things like that. But yeah, I do love books though. Just love a good story. So
I meant to ask you actually, do you listen to stuff while you're working? Do you listen to like music or do you listen to books or podcasts?
I listen to podcasts, yeah. So I tend to listen to I listen to your podcast. I listen to The Rest is Entertainment, which is I love listening to that. That's fantastic. So I used to listen to the Kathy Burke one, which was the one about dying and who you'd have at your funeral and things like that. But she's not doing it anymore, is she? So I sort of went off the boil with that. But yeah, I love a podcast. So yeah, it's so good. I'll listen to the radio.
I used to listen to The Rest is Politics as well, but at the start of this year I decided to stop listening to it because it was making me annoyed twice a week.
Yes.
Whereas The Rest is Entertainment is just joyful. I just love listening to it.
It's just so fantastic.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Right, final question then. Is there an interesting fact that not a lot of people know about Holly Searle? I've got a feeling there probably is.
I've got a few things. I guess an interesting thing, people are just going to think I'm absolutely mad now, but I can kind of tell if there's a ghost in the house, which is like...
Oh, come on. That's great. Go on. How does it work?
So I didn't really think about that too much until sometimes when I visit old houses or something, because I love visiting an old National Trust house or something like that. But the only way I can explain it is if I go into a place and I feel like I can't breathe, right? And I didn't really know what that was. And so we were down in Cornwall one day. I'll give you an example of how this happened. I'm not saying I'm a big ghost hunter or anything like that, or a Ghostbuster, but so my son and I go to visit this, it was quite out of the way, really well preserved, this house. It was like a Tudor house. I can't remember the name of it now, but the gardens were lovely. And as we walked into the building, there were the two women were sort of at the entrance. And I said, and I got this feeling, it makes me feel like I'm going to faint. It's really strange. So I said to them, is there a ghost in this house? Because people sometimes are weird about, and they went, well, we're not going to tell you. So why don't you go around the building and when you come back, tell us what you think. And I went, okay. So a lot of those old houses, they don't really have corridors that rooms are off. You just go one room to the next room to the next room. And we went through all these rooms, and then there was like, we went onto a walkway, which was where the women of the house used to get their regular exercise, promenading up and down. Ridiculous, I know. And they, so as we crossed over, and I went to my son, whoa, hang on, it's here. Like, it's just like, hit me here. And he was like, okay, come on, let's go like this. Because, you know, your kids just treat you like you're completely bonkers anyway. So we go back down and we go and have a cup of tea or whatever. And we go back to these ladies and I said, oh, is it? It was there at that bit. And they went, yep, guide dogs won't even go down there like that. And I was like, what?
Amazing.
But I had, so that happens to me quite a lot if I go into old houses and everything. So I think I'm quite sensitive, but now people are going to think, but anyway. Maybe that's just a part of your personality where you're just quite sensitive. But then other weird facts about me is that I collect pencils. So every time I go to a museum, I'm very disappointed if they don't have a pencil or an exhibition. And I went to the pencil museum in the Lake District. That was fantastic. It's Kendall, isn't it? Yeah. That's just brilliant. I was like, we were up there and I was like, there's a pencil museum here. We have to go there. But yeah, apart from that, just like collecting things. I'm always interested in knowing new things and finding out new things, discovering new things. I like going on a walking tour.
With the pencils, do they have to be oversized pencils or is that just a bonus?
No, they've just got like, I've got hundreds of them. I've got loads of them for all different places. So
do you keep them sharp? Do you use them?
Well, I'm going to have to stop buying them because I think when I'm like 61 now, am I actually going to use all these pencils? And I said to my son, I suppose we can just donate them back to the pencil museum sort of thing. But anyway,
or you'll just end up it'll be another side project now. You'll end up inscribing them with like the names of Buddhist monks or something.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Really random. That's fascinating. For Holly, thank you for having me.
Oh no, it's been so lovely talking to you. I've had such a nice time, Jamie.
Awesome.